All right, folks. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome on back here this Monday afternoon, perhaps Monday morning, wherever you may be residing. Great to have all of us back, though, inside our live trading room. James, Jim, two separate people there. Elena, Brian, Alan, frog from my throat right there, too. Carlos, Michael, Tim, Glenn, Debbie, Joyce, all of us just joining us, though, here inside our live trading room. Not to stop short, though. You got Genevieve, Russ. You got Grant joining us as always, Elena, Farzad, Uday, great to see. And great to have all of us back, though, you as well on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc. Popping up bottom left, right below my pea head right there. I got a new haircut, right? So growing it short for the summer. It's like 115 degrees out there in Southwest Florida. So I didn't mind buzzing it for like a month or two. But right down below my ugly mug, probably needs to be raised up a little bit higher there to block my face, but at Cyber Trading You, just right down below. If you're new to our stream platform, any of our social medias, just hit that follow, hit that subscribe button right down there. And actually, as good timing as any to do that, because I thought I was going to be more prepared for this. Here we go. We got coming up this week on Wednesday and Thursday this week. We have our big event, our Cyber Expo event, 23rd into the 24th. So if you wanted to attend live, and even if you're not able to join us live, you can capture the recording of it. Just go right to our registration link. We'd post that in our trading room, obviously. But if you're on social media as well, we're going to post that there in the chat for you as well. But we're going to get a whole lineup of great presenters, a couple of which that were with us just maybe a few months back, but a bunch of new gurus, mentors, great educators out there within the industry. Doug Campbell, big fan of him from Right Way Options. Kathy Lean, she actually has not been on our Cyber Expo from the last time, but we've done great events with her in the past from BK Traders. We love Kathy. Obviously, some familiar names too, though. We got Jay Trader, Larry Gaines, Wiz Buckley, my guy Ryan Faluna from Benzinga Pro. Always great to see him. So again, just hey, if you had not registered yet, we can just post on our social media there as well for you. But that'll be on Wednesday and Thursday this week, so stay tuned for that. But with that in mind, though, let's hop right into the thick of things. It's pulling back right now again here, but this open trade was just unbelievable for a Monday morning, for a summer Monday. You're expecting like crap out there. At least you should, because it's good to set the bar low. And then when it exceeds your expectations, you feel like a lot better about that compared to like trying to shoot for the stars. And then you realize it's a summer Monday. And what if you don't get what you were looking for, right? It's just like you don't want to have that feel. So it's just to tell you, this couldn't have been any better of a move for us. There still might be more of a push heading into the afternoon session, but we'll see where it stands going into the next 10 or so minutes first, because we want to recap this move. I just asked before who was in this trade just before live. Maybe one or two of us were, but then I asked, I'm like, hey, who actually traded this from the morning though? You might be out now, but who caught some money on the morning move at least here? And like, 10, 12, 15 of us I see here. Joyce, Debbie, Glenn, Tim, Michael, Carlos, Alan, Brian, Elena. She says that she got out too early. I feel like a lot of us did, though, Elena, so no sweat there. Jim got some money on that. You got James. I know that he was in earlier, right? So we all did, Brian says. I mean, even in options. Now, I want to point out this, though. Maybe we all didn't, Brian, because what if you're sitting here on the other side tuning in, you're like, well, I got stopped out with like a 3-cent profit. That's barely anything. And then this thing ran up without me. Well, your bread was buttered potentially elsewhere. This was a great market for a summer Monday. I mean, obviously, look at the SPY right now. It's still pretty flat, but it's near the highs. Had a good morning move to it. We got a bunch of great movers here today, guys. The NVTS we'll get into here in a bit. The QBTS trade was a little trade that we had from the morning session. Actually, during class, we analyzed this live. I have a question from one of our students regarding this one. So let's actually just go right back to the open trade, and we're going to review this from head to toe. Explain where the better levels were. And although I showed like one or two of them in our live class just before, I was getting right to the point there. I didn't really go over the morning move, the first 5 minutes, what happened within the pre-market, and we'll start there. So let me just ask Brian, Alicia, Margaret, Grant, Uday, Russ, James, Jim, Elena, all of us just joining us here. For a cheap stock like this, what common set of price levels should often have those big iceberg orders off of them? What prices should you look at mostly on level 3 or level 4? What common set of price levels? Cheap stock, right? Like, notice how I hint that towards you. If we were doing Tesla, we would not be saying 50 cents. We probably wouldn't even be saying $1. But this is a cheap stock. So with that, you can go 50-cent levels and whole numbers. $2.50, $3, yada, yada, yada. So I'll just actually plot one line here to begin at 3. You can see how well this held as resistance here once, twice, thrice, and then it pulled back. Well, let's see what level 4 actually showed then, right here. Give me a quick moment. I feel like I'm Ricky Bobby with my water bottle at times. Don't know what to do with my hands. All right, so let's go over to open. Let's go right towards this. And let's begin because we did have resistance showing here at $3. We did. So we'll start here. Basically at 7:30 in the morning, we log in our live trading room pretty much at 7:30, start sharing our charts right away. And open was popping at the time. Listen, you had 195,000 share seller out there right at 3. So at that whole number to begin, you know there's a level to start. Maybe up next is 350, right? $3.50. Well, I will tell you, there's actually an even larger order sitting out there beginning as early as 7 a.m. Eastern time, about 265,000 shares almost here at this point going into the market open. That's your next larger level. And maybe I shouldn't even say next because there is a little something here, right? It's like at $3.20. This is like a smaller, more minor resistance comparative to the 350, but we'll respect that also. So we got 350, those 50-cent levels and whole numbers, but let's actually also plot a line at 320, and we'll get more into that in just a bit there. But we got 320, 350. All right, let me ask our members here this, though. First, Laureen, I got your question in just a moment. I'm going to answer that in just a second there. Let me just ask everyone here first. Going into the market open, what's the direction of this stock? I mean, hey, it's positive. It's, net percent up this morning. What's the direction of this trade from 8:30 into the market open? Right, Laureen, Alicia, all very quick to say because they were in class just before. It's down, right? Who's winning the battle when this stock is dropping off? It's flattened down. Who's winning the battle in that very immediate short-term moment? The sellers. So is it just so easy and as bright and day, just be like, oh yeah, pop, that's it. Oh, you should just jumped in. No, it was dropping off going into the freaking market open. And then not only that, you wait the first 3 to 5 minutes and it was still dropping. So don't get too worried about missing a move here. It's all part of our process. We need to know where our levels are first, and then we need to know what the trend of the stock is leading into the open. Listen, if this was going up, I'd be a lot more antsy to press the buy button, at least within time. But otherwise, it's not like I'm just expecting the run that we had here today immediately. So let's actually take a quick look to see book map right here. We'll see where the orders are. I mean, we just showed the orders at 320, 350. And like we said, at our 50-cent level down below here at 250. So maybe it drops down to 250. Shoot, what if it breaks below 250? What's our next big support from there? All right, well, we got one here. It's pretty damn big. All right, that's good. 225. But still, you don't want to have to keep moving the goalposts. We had 10 or 12 stocks on our watch list here today. This is one of several stocks that did well for you. The more that you're, moving the goalposts and you're like, oh, 250, oh, 225, oh, $2, you're wasting time. You're losing money first because you're probably getting stopped out on small loss, but you're wasting your time much more importantly. So this is where, when the market does open, we wait the first 5 minutes irregardless. And at that, two things happen here. You happen to have much larger resistance showing now at $3. Over 1 million shares, 1,109,000 shares out there at $3. So I don't care if this is cheap or not cheap. That's a huge size out there that I have to give great respect to. So obviously it's $3. You might be like, oh, it's not that much money. It is. It absolutely is. But, just to say, of course, on a more expensive stock, yeah, maybe you kind of raise the cash value and say, all right, that could be even more prominent. But let's take a look here then. If if you're a little skeptical about calling this big money, then how about this one for size? We have the opening print. This is the second thing that comes to mind here. The first was this order at 3. The second of which is this opening bell print. This is what we always talk about in phase 2 when it comes to time and sales, the big institutions. Jim, actually, one of our members here in our classroom just earlier, he had a question. It was a little separate, actually, but I'll answer it here, actually, in this relation to time and sales. These transactions here during the morning, in the middle of the morning, day, afternoon, those are between one buyer, one seller. This right here is a conglomerate of traders that are triggering their orders, buy, sell, whatever. What if there's someone covering short before it takes off? So it's not even just say that it's buying, but it's nearly 6 million shares. So if you didn't think this was big to start, all right, well, I got you back here, because 5.9 million shares at $2.78. Yeah, I'd like to say that's pretty significant there, a little bit more even. So, over time, what happens? Well, it pushed up, broke above it at first. You easily expect this to flip into support right away, because if the stars are going to align, let me ask all of our students here. You know this one here. I know you know it. What time's reversal time, right? What time do we expect stocks to typically reverse? This reversed a little later than expected, right? But still, when do we expect stocks to reverse? Go 10:30, 10:15, 10:30. So that little ish there at the end, I like. Well, hey, once it breaks above resistance here at 278, breaks above the opening print, it moves off of it, like not a tremendous amount, but it's where it starts to get you to think, all right, 10 cents up. Let's see if this could flip into support now. And the only thing about this trade is that it doesn't do it right away. So if you were to jump in right over 278 and then you have your stop set at like 276, 274, whatever it is, odds are you're probably getting stopped out here. Like, let's just be transparent. You might say to yourself, oh, well, I would set my stop lower. I would set it below here. Oftentimes, that's even too much. Answer this next one for me, folks. Much like the same class that I taught in phase 2 just this morning, it's about keeping disciplined and staying routine, disciplined on the same step-by-step process. So here in Traders Talk, a lot of my catchphrases, they're repetitive, right? We go through them each and every week here almost, because we can't reinvent the wheel, and there's nothing more than what we share here. So when a stock breaks through a big level, what are we simply expecting shortly after? A big move. So I'd rather not risk too much if it's not going to give me that reaction I'm looking for. So listen, if you take a small loss here, I don't think that's the end of the world, because looks like about what, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes later it is, maybe it breaks back above that level. So that's just where I tell you all the time. I have not only zero issue, I embrace it. Taking the same entry, the same, not just the same stock like this, but the literal same level. So, all right, well, 5.9 million shares. So right place, wrong time. If you jumped in on this first break over the level here, if you jumped in here, you probably get stopped out here. So be it. And if you don't, that's nice, because you ride it out. But either way, I don't mind taking that same trade a second time if you do get stopped out at first, because obviously big move shortly after, right? So, that's where, at least otherwise, you could jump in off 278, get out at 330. I don't think that you're upset about that first little teeny tiny loss. You know what I mean? Now, otherwise, if we're expecting reversal time around 10:30, looks like this tops off a little sooner here at first. It pulls back pretty deep. So this is where these other levels will come to fruition. The 3 level, and then 320. 3 is definitely your next larger level, right? First was the 278. That's your largest, the 5.9 million shares. This is your next largest one. So please, let's still have some faith in $3. And once it breaks above 3, first test is the best test. Then after that, the more it keeps pressing that resistance in a smaller period, there you go. All right, well, once it breaks above that resistance and it runs from it, this is a fat run. This is a good one here. You do want to see that resistance flip. So it's up to you, obviously, because if you chase it, if you jump in where you shouldn't, or if you jump in much higher off one of the smaller levels, then you're risking having this potentially drop down and flip 3 into support. Easy to say that's nearly what happens, because it drops down to like 304, 305, then goes. But that's where you got to make sure, pardon me, that you got to take your entries off the largest levels, right? You can't just expect the stock to be smooth sailing until 10:30. Did this keep moving up over time? Yeah, of course. But do we want to keep the hair on top of our head? At least, you and not me. I just got my head cut. But do you want to keep the hair on top of your head? Yeah, I can imagine. So, we got to make sure we take clean entries. This is where if you jump in over 3 right here, it's a premier entry. This doesn't get any better, because it's not the first test. It's retesting resistance here a second time. Nice breakout. listen, you could take some money, you could take half out, keep half in, and that allows you to ride the wave out better. But you just don't want to jump in. I think it's very foolish and stupid. It's like, you're going to the casino and you're, tossing, $50 on black. You're like, all right, let's just see what happens. Maybe you win, maybe you don't. Right. Now, though, here, this is where this got crazy. This got pretty funny. It started making a much sharper move than you would expect. Even when it bounces back up here and you're thinking, all right, there's the chance for a new high, new breakout. You're probably not expecting this to break out over $4 as fast as it did. This smashed over resistance at 4 and flew, right? So we came off a class at 11:30. And that's where I was telling you, I was like, listen, if this ends up blasting resistance on the first test and it runs, don't beat yourself up about like, oh, I missed that. No, follow your strategy. Follow our strategy that we're, teaching in class here collectively. This is where otherwise it could flip into support at first. There's the thought behind maybe this could build out, but obviously it doesn't. It breaks back below this as a working support. Support flips into resistance, rightfully so at first. So that's normal. And that kind of leads us off to right here at this point. So going into this trade, actually, I need to bring bookmap back out, so give me a moment here. But otherwise, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, it's still up 76% today, so that still is a lot percentage-wise. I was coming off a class basically saying, like, hey, if you are following stocks in the morning like this, and it's up that 50, 60, 70%, we've seen stocks up 500, 600, 700%, right? So, what's to say it can't move up higher? This is still a lot, though, especially as more time has gone on throughout the day. So if this fails to flip 4 into support now, here, it would not shock me to have this come back down towards the CVP levels here, basically fill this volume gap. It wouldn't shock me if 4 can't flip into support soon enough, then to have it drop back down towards 350. If not 350, then you can go as low as 318 again. That CVP spike from earlier here, built up consolidation, and maybe even lower, even back round trip to the opening print, but that seems a little excessive. So you just take it one level at a time. It's still on a nice trend, but this is just where enough time has gone on throughout the morning. And you know this because from phase 1, we teach the cyber clock. We were emphasizing the first hour here, right? Well, right now we're in garbage time. Why do we do traders talk on a Monday afternoon, right? It's because right now there's typically garbage out there. So I'm not as confident to see this play out just yet right now. Maybe later in the day, if this fails to come down to that 320 or maybe 350, and if it lingers with higher lows, then maybe later in the day, I would be more open to get it open. I'd be more open, minded basically to, seeing this flip into support. But otherwise, though, yeah, let's see if this could shake down a little bit lower first. All right, Matt asking here, did anyone catch the OKLO short? If we have enough time, Matt, I'll get to that. We had enough questions that got sent in from just before. Of course, we do this workshop every Monday afternoon. If we have enough time, I'm going to try and get to OKLO, but there were some trades and questions that got sent in with like NVTS next. Actually, one of our students, Uday, that was with me in class, was asking about another one. You know what? Let me actually get to that other one first so I don't lose sight of that, actually. But yeah, Uday, this QBTS trade, right? This is the one that you're kind of looking at just from earlier. You'd sent over that email just before after class, right? All right. So, yeah, and actually 2 trades that he sent over. We'll go over this one first. So can you go over QBTS this morning? Uday was asking, one of our, silver students just joining us in our intermediate class before. Could QBTS this morning have been a good entry at 9:39 Eastern this morning at $19.35 above the opening print? And he has some context, some, just thoughts just in regards to this move. So I'll just repeat what he wrote to me. So for context, we were discussing levels, the $20 level, with the example of QBTS in class this morning, and you were focusing on time to take a trade. You mentioned that one should wait to test the trend for a few bars at 10 to 11 o'clock. However, you could enter in at 9:35 or after just with a single uptick trending up, since one could take some risk at that time. So I concluded as above. Would it be a good entry to enter QBTS above said price? All right, yeah, we'll take a look. So this all comes down to your confidence in the trade. For instance, Was this moving like really nicely before the market opening up? Was this a great trade from 8 to 9:30? It was okay, but it only was really starting to become kind of okay only at like 9:15 a.m. I kind of here started off good, but then from 8 to 9:30, 8:30 to 9:30 here basically this picture I'm manipulating, but it's not like this was doing too great. And then finally the final like 15, 13 minutes here, it inches up. It's starting to prove something to you. So this all boils down to your confidence in this trade today, meaning that if you see this stock test the opening print right away, if it's breaking above it, I don't mind taking that trade, especially if your next resistance is not until 20. If there's nothing out there until 20 and you got that big opening bell print, which we'll show in a bit, I wouldn't mind trying to take it at first, but you got to make sure that plays nice. Got to make sure that flips into a support level then, no? And if it doesn't, then clearly then we have to kind of refocus elsewhere, or maybe it is a right place, wrong time type of moment. All right, for some reason my book map here is not showing the opening bell print here, Uday. Give me a moment. Just do this the old-fashioned way on the time and sales here. Just give me a moment here. Go over some swing trades here as well, just on Webull and Archer. Those are two stocks that both Fausto and myself are big fans of. I mean, even more jobby than Archer now of late, but just, I'm in on Archer, I'm in on Webull, and it has been doing pretty good from last week. Let's get to the opening print, though, on QBTS, right? This is QBTS. Let's go 9:30 opening bell. Sometimes Bookmap won't show it. I don't know why. I don't know if that's a glitch or if that's just, a data thing from my side there, but let's just something up here. 9:30, 9:30, bada bing, bada boom. Something's up here today. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like the opening print didn't hit right away at 9:30. That's kind of odd. Let me see if it shows maybe here. 9:33 in the morning. This was probably a delayed opening print, which does happen every now and then, not often. Don't pull your hair out like wondering which one's delays, which one doesn't. It's pretty rare to begin with, and there's no rhyme or reason, at least for my analyses. But let's go over to 9:32, 9:33 in the morning, I guess, and kind of killing some time, unfortunately. That's not your fault. I'm just kind of going through the time and sales. This always used to happen with me on AMD. Always used to happen with me on AMD like this. Always be like 2 minutes, 3 minutes delayed. Kind of weird. Might even need to go back further. Oh, shit. There we go. Here we go. Finally. Holy smokes. Took long enough. Had to like dig arm and knee deep here to get it. But delayed like 2 minutes, 11 seconds in, whatever. But $19.49. So this is your opening bell print. This is where I'll discuss this a little bit further in our phase 2 class today with these institutional prints. Maybe not our next one coming up at 3 p.m. I'm going to do that more in our time and sales focused class there with volume. But point being is that wait till you see the big spike of volume on your graph. And if it's not at 9:30 in the first candle or so, you just got to wait. So it looks like right here at 1949, a 500,000 share block print got filled. And that is your opening print. So the question begs, hey, what's the larger level? What's the better level? Well, it broke below this instantly. Right? Once this print came out, this just smashed down much lower. So instantly, I'm expecting this price to be resistance. So the first test of it technically is like right here. It's like first test. And still coming off such a big drop, you would either want to see it retested a few times, or if it does pop it nice, like really consistent run here, bar over bar, see if it could then flip that into a support. Then looks like this is just one quick little pop drop and it kind of pulled back into the level. This wouldn't be a bad thought behind jumping in if you're expecting the move, but this is where you got to say, though, at 9:49 in the morning, all right, it broke over this big print level here, the opening print. Now at this stage, I'm expecting either A, for this to run, because now it's been retesting the level. So this isn't the first time it's testing it. And then otherwise, if this is the entry, well, it either needs to run right away, which it doesn't, That's all right. But otherwise, though, it needs to play perfect. It needs to flip this cleanly into support, which it obviously doesn't in this bar. So got messy. Got messy for a little while. And then from there, by the time it eventually did move back up towards 20, first time it tested 20 as a working resistance, it held, and then that was it. Let's see if on the daily chart, if there was something even better to focus on here, because this has been a really strong chart as far as a swing trade goes historically. We focused on that just back like 2 months ago, once this ended up breaking, not the all-time highs right away. I think it was just this like historical resistance month over month over month. It was crazy. But otherwise, though, flipping this back to a daily chart, try and take a picture here, even just make it easy for you to kind of see where I come from with drawing these support resistance lines. Oh, my snipping tool's now freaking out here. Okay, that makes sense. Give me a moment here. I guess I can't draw. All right, that's fine. So we'll do this then instead. Just draw 2 lines like that. Basically, you have these 3 bars in a row. Both 1, 2 here look to be around the same price. On May 22nd, 1952, the high. Right over here, 1943, the high. So that actually coincides real nice, at least, with this opening print. So perhaps over time, that could be support. It's obviously been a pretty good chart resistance, just this first line of the two. But your all-time high technically is at 1977 before today. That's the previous all-time high back from May 23rd, the following day there. So it's probably just a matter of this having a tough time making the clear breakout higher to just keep going. Even here, just notice when it came back down, it fell back down to the previous all-time high from that day. If it wanted to be that strong, it would hold over this then here and then move back up over 20, and it just doesn't even do that. Slices right back down below the opening print from this morning. And then how's the market doing today? We're getting a little shake now at this point. Shake back up even right now here, it seems. Yeah, I don't know. QBTS, maybe some news came out on Quanta, maybe just some sell-off, some profit taking there. Maybe the historical chart isn't fully ready to see this 1950 play out as support yet, but where you would often expect that to be a good day trade, it wasn't playing so nice right away, right? So it looks like it finally did, maybe here at first. It was a good little breakout, but up to 20, and then it failed to move up higher from there at first. So maybe tomorrow it'll just have a much cleaner day in terms of a trend. A lot of rugged up and down movement here. That's just where oftentimes, if I'm focused on a sideless stock like this, which really healthy stock, really healthy chart, I could probably say that for 30 different trades right now going like Palantir. How can you not say this is a healthy chart? NVIDIA, like any of these trades, they might not always provide that cleaner day trading move when you would expect it to, right? And it's good to expect it if you're using good strategy. But you also have to realize on the flip side of that coin that for as high hopes as you may have a stock to have at that point in time, if it's not going to make that better move like we always expect, it's okay. It's okay, but you got to make sure your stop is set. You got to make sure your plan is set to action. Like if this doesn't make that big move up, it's going to make a big move down, right? So QBTS, obviously, if it's not going to play nice even off at 20 bucks, that iceberg level, tried to here, flipped it nice at first. It could have been nicer, though. It could have held a higher low at this point and then moved back up. Obviously, it didn't. So, hey, we realize that as traders, though, don't we? I mean, you better before you press the buy button at least, right? Because the second you press the buy button, you better be reactant with setting your stop. And the way that we're more reactant with setting our stop is if we happen to think about these things before they happen, right? So it's okay if this doesn't come to fruition where, 20 didn't flip into support here nicely enough and it didn't run higher. Better that than, holding on for dear life as it's crashing back down here. Now, one thing I want to point out briefly, got other trades to go over too, because this wasn't like the number one stock that we had today. Probably, to be transparent, wasn't like top 30 stocks that we had today. It's a nice, healthy chart long term, and it moved up. So don't get me wrong. Like maybe someone could have made some decent money on this. There were just better moves, steadier trends in the morning that we called out first, and we were more focused on those. But what the hell just happened right here? Something just happened right here, where our whole philosophy is to follow the big money. And we see the size of these volume candles, like, all right, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little here, a little there, and then splat 900,000 plus shares, 950 plus thousand shares, actually over a million if you're adding the up and down together there, but right at 1222, right? So let's just see on the good old time and sales. Try and weed this out here. All right, let's try again. Gotta do take two here. Sometimes it won't show everything that it needs to. Okay, so how about this for size, folks? What price do we have the big volume that just got filled? What price do we see the largest transaction pop in on volume here on time and sales? What do we got? Lynn and Randy, Alicia, Lorena, Debbie, Elena, Sam, Margaret, Grant, 19, right? Biggest one under size. And then you add all of them together, just kind of loosely speaking. You're like, ooh, there's a ton of there at 19. Now, at first, we take this, like just looking at the purple on the time and sales, as proverbial selling. We take it initially as that, but this is just where I'll tell you, guys, what was the reaction here at first? Looks like it bounced up pretty damn nice. So, is it possible that if this repetitively is testing 19, and if it actually fails to break lower, if this is being really stubborn to break lower from 19, is it actually possible that that could be people buying and trying to support the stock? Because remember, red and purple we nickname as selling, right? Oh, it's the selling pressure. Well, this is just where I'm kind of giving you a hypothetical scenario that hasn't happened yet. What if this keeps getting tested as support, but it's not breaking down, right? You would expect it to, right? But what if this thing's being a stubborn son of a you know what, and it's not breaking lower? That's where I'm telling you, then you kind of flip your head around with the purple and you're like, ooh, well, what if there's a chance they're trying to like support the stock and it goes up? There's a thought behind buying there, but then you need to set your stop and say, all right, well, if it breaks lower, then this thing's screwed. So there's always risk involved with that. But yeah, there's a ton of volume that just got filled a moment ago here. I can't really get too much of a read off of this volume yet outside of the initial reaction, which looks nice. It's a pretty decent initial reaction for a bounce. So I will say, the more it does keep testing this as support, my mind will turn more pessimistic and I'll say it should tank. The more it's being, really tough and stubborn and it's not tanking, it's defying the odds and the logic. That's where I would then flip my head around like, oh, well, maybe there's a chance that it could, go back up. Now, if this just bounces right now as we're in the middle of this workshop, then obviously I'll kind of say, all right, well, we'll see what happens again at 20. That would be the next thought there. But otherwise, though, let me know if you have any questions, at least Uday or anyone else, at least there with the QBTS. Actually, Uday, you had a second one there, didn't you? And this one, I think a few of us were focused on at least earlier this morning. So let's go back to our gainers list, our watch list from earlier today. SABS, right? So basically just asking, can you go over it, please, the volatility and the timing of it? Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask, who here was trading this SABS from earlier this morning? You jumped into SABS, let me know. Just give a couple shout outs here. I already see Farzad, Roger, Leda, Barbara, Brad, Yehuda, Kathleen. A bunch of us nailed it, at least from earlier. And if you think I'm just making that up off the cuff, I don't mind sharing this here because, again, much like we taught in phase 1, lesson number 1, you got to learn how to use that little search tab up top, right? Right? Look at this. Yehuda, Barbara, Brad, Farzad, Leda, Roger, from earlier, Kathleen there, as I said, right? We don't make this stuff up. Come on now. All of our students nailed it on this trade, at least from before. So let's go over at least what happened here. But first, before we go into the levels and what happened on the book map and the this and that, what's the trend of this stock from 8 to 9:30, folks? What's the trend of this stock from 8:30 to 9:30? What do we got? Let's just start there, right? I'd say down. down, flat. I wouldn't be saying up from 8 to 9:30, from 8:30 to 9:30. It's not like the buyers are winning this battle just yet, right? So they got to prove themselves to us. We got to see more buying pressure on this trade before we're convinced as traders ourselves that, oh, it's going to run up. Because even here, notice what happened. Actually, right at 8:15 in the morning Eastern, you have this like red dot, which you count as selling at first, right? You call that selling pressure. So something happened at 3.80, $3.79 and some change, about 29,000 shares. All right, well, how big is that? How large is that? Well, our darkest red line here this morning was at $4, and that was about 22,000. All right, well, what's larger, 21 or 22,000 or 29,000, right? So let's just not discount this. Let's just not discount that as saying, okay, that's tiny. No, that's pretty decent. That's some good selling pressure that kicked in right off that 389, 379, 380 level. So, all right. So with that, I would expect that to be a resistance on the way back up. And otherwise, there really isn't much buying pressure after that move happened. Before that move happened, you had the buying pressure off of 4, at least cumulatively. Maybe this order partially got pulled. Maybe partially got pulled. But cumulatively, a lot of nips and tests at that 4 level. But after that, though, selling, selling, selling. So we got to see a lot more buying pressure kicking in before I'm proven or before I'm led to believe it's going to run. Market opens. We wait the first 5 minutes. I don't care. You want to just sit on your hands and wait. So it does begin to pop right at like 9:34-ish, and it starts to break above resistance at $4 again. So don't think this is like a bad thing because it failed here at this point. This is within the first 5 minutes, mind you. And yes, I am an absolute stickler to that rule. I use that as a crutch to go over these reviews and play Captain Hindsight. I want to let you know that. You can't always be perfect on trades, but folks, I'm sticking to that 5-minute rule every time. So yeah, at 9:34 and 18 seconds, you're breaking your rules if you're jumping in right here. Do not pop, drop. Now, if it keeps testing this resistance, then you're led to believe it should at least try and do a better job of holding above it, or otherwise big move shortly after, obviously. So, it took the next test of resistance at 4, and that's all it took. That was it. Game over in a good way. Game on, rather, right? So, thing popped from 4 up to 450. If you are someone here that's not as familiar with holding on to these trades throughout the morning, then it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to even get out there or take half out, take quarter out, take third out. If you're more experienced, and not even, I don't like using the word experience, but let's just be straight with ourselves here. If you make money more often than you lose money with us here at CTU, then you're probably more fluid with at least trying to flip this resistance into a support. It shakes down a decent chunk. That's what I'm telling you. This isn't like, kick your feet back up. But if you're wondering why this worked out so nice afterwards, it's because we're in prime time hours. We should see this make a big move, right? We should have this make that better push. Now, does it get halted? Does it not get halted? We don't control that here when we say this, but it's 9:38 in the morning, 9:40 in the morning. Let's see something happen. That's 50 minutes until reversal time. The world's in the palm of our hand, right? And even if you undershoot that reversal time and you say it's at 10:15 in the morning, you got 35 minutes worth of prime time trading to try and hold this. It's a beautiful move where it gets halted going up. Give me a quick moment here. 1 second here, folks. Give me a quick second. One second here. 1 second. I don't know what's happening here. A little hiccup here on my book map, just making sure everything's all connected. You lost me on the screen for a second. Just one moment. Ah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I see a little something happening here with like my Wi-Fi, my internet here, folks. Just bear with me. Just about 30 seconds, 1 minute. We'll be right back up and running for all of us on social or on our live trading room. Just 1 second here. I might go out here in a moment, like officially. I'm going to get reset back up, but I may go out here in just a moment. So just bear with me if I do. preemptive there, but give me a quick moment, get back set up inside our live trading room. Now, again, quick moment here, folks. Hey, we have our Cyber Expo in just a couple days, so make sure to click that link if you're inside our live trading room right now. But otherwise, get the screen back up and running for now. I might have to reset myself here in just a moment. But point being is that this gets halted here, right? Once it ends up popping. Let me just make sure Uday, Grant, Farzad, all of us here in chat. Let me know if you can see my screen. Should be good to go though, right? Then if you're on social media, oh, I forgot to do that. There we go. All right, cool. There we go. Actually, you know what? This is probably for the better, right? I'm teasing. Always self-deprecating here. But otherwise, we are good. We're good. All right. So it got halted going up. You typically aren't like uber confident it's just going to keep going, but at least it's still 9:40 in the morning. So there's a thought behind it extending a little further out in the sense of time. It opens up. It pops way higher right away. It honestly doesn't get much better. So it's as good of a situation as you could ask for. And if you just get out in this mishmash here at this stage, if not even earlier, you're happy at the end of the day, right? Traders that are happy at the end of the day are traders that make their daily goal, or they're just up enough that they're content. It's not like traders that are happy at the end of the day are only traders that sell at the tippy top here, right? So for anyone that beats themselves up over like leaving money on the table, if you made 50 cents on this trade, and for a cheap $3, $4 stock, $5 stock, you normally do not make 50 cents a share on one trade, you should be doing backflips. You should have the biggest smile on your face. So the more that you end up locking in a profit like that, you're probably going to leave money on the table simultaneously. So you're going to learn on how to hold on to trades a little bit longer in regards to time. But guess what? I mean, you don't need to hold on all the way to 10:04 in the morning to have this, reverse on you. This was good enough, it seems. And then it didn't break higher. It ended up crapping back down shortly after here. This is some low float stock, mind you, right? You know that, right? This is just some no name pharma stock. It's, I don't even know what news it's coming off of, quite frankly, but it's trading a 7.5 million share float, 7.5 million share float. And right now live, this stock is trading 78.2 million shares total on the day. So it's trading about what, 10 times its float? That's crazy. Most stocks that make that big of a rotation around its float, and if they're not holding good direction, they're going to completely wipe out their gains across the afternoon or just by the next trading day tomorrow. So this made it pretty quick and decisive for us here, right? Just failed to break higher, broke lower, game over. That's it. All right. Hey, that was a good one because like 12 of us, 15 of us were in this trade from earlier today. It caught a good chunk of this. Actually, let me just go back up and just see kind of, who was doing what at that time, because Barbara got like $1.73 with us. Barbara's probably one of our, just to be quick with it, Barbara's probably one of our better traders with us. She's been with us for about like 3-4 years, Barbara, maybe even more. I just always lose track of my own time. Brad as well. Brad's been with us for a long time too. One of our great traders here with us. He got $1.30 with us. Yehuda as well got like 50 cents. Farzad in and out. He's been crushing it since he joined us. Leda is always in and out, getting a good piece of the pie. Roger got about like $1.30 himself there too, right? So even if you got 36 cents out of $1.36, you know what I mean? On 1,000 shares, that's $360. And if you do that within what, maybe 5 minutes time, 10 minutes time, maybe even less, I think you're making pretty good use of your time and money both. So again, there's other stocks. It's not even like this was the only one. This was more like the shiny object in the room. The open trade was the better of the two in terms of liquidity. So this was like taking candy from a freaking kid. And look what's happening even live right now. So if it wants to hold higher, then it's going to have to at least flip this resistance now into support. This really hasn't done much yet with testing for a support. So even for later, I think that as long as it stays over $4 from this point, there is good reason to look for more now at this stage, right? If it's not going to tank down to 320 or 350, then maybe there's a chance this next level flips. My bread was buttered on a few trades today. A-Mix early pre-market, not huge, but quick trade over $2. Got out at 212, 213. Small, but it started my morning off. Then the NVTS trade was one that I jumped into quickly over $8. The resistance there. I got in on the open trade. I got like, what was it, 25 or 23 cents on it. I wish I held on a lot longer, guys, right? But that was on a pretty good sized position. I'm very content with what happened. So as long as you're putting your money to use and as long as you're using good strategy within the trades you're taking, you really can't complain too much about this morning. NVTS was where I did really nicely today. This was like my bet. Open was nice because of the size, but in terms of the length of the trade, this was my better trade. But the NVTS over $8. The more I kept testing 888, flipping 8 into support. Then from there, actually, not only did it move up just higher right away, but pretty quickly after it dipped into this, a new buy order showed up. So for this NVTS trade, not only was there formal buying pressure once this popped the resistance here at 8. This got filled at $8, blasted right over it. But shortly after that point, if you're looking to see resistance flip into support, I needed to make sure that this held above my stop order here so I didn't get taken out. But otherwise, this was the icing on the cake here, no pun intended. About 150,000 shares almost on the bid right at that $8 level. And then from there, off and running she went. I ended up getting out, though, on the shake as it pulled down towards 850, like 848 was my exit. I felt great with the exit because for my first trade on the day, it was, or maybe second between that and open. But either way, first or second, to be up like 40, 50 cents on this trade. I was already up on the open one, the A-mix trade from pre-market. Remember, you don't need to get out the tippy top to be happy, right? All those trades add up. And this was a much better Monday morning than I was at least expecting. Not because I'm pessimistic about the stock market, mind you, but you just condition yourself. Mondays, Fridays, bad. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, good. So if you have a hot Monday morning and it's a lot better than you were expecting, how can you not be elated? Because you should still have full confidence to pull the trigger, at least once the stocks are moving in the way that you want them to. If you're someone that comes into the market right at 9:30 and there's no prep time for you, you're not scanning, you're not using Bookmap to preset levels, then you're going to be lost in the woods. It's going to be really easy for you to be like, oh, I missed this. Oh, I missed that. Like, yeah, you're not putting your time to good use then in order to make the money. But if you put your money to use, that means that you have good strategy and you're not afraid to pull the trigger when needed, right? It doesn't mean that you're just taking trade after trade, doing one trade per 10 minutes. That's kind of stupid at the same time. But on a day like today, you set the bar low, but you still have full confidence in the strategy that you're employing. So once you realize you get these trades that are running, it's like, oh my God, this is incredible. This is awesome. I lost money on this trade at first, the S Sentinel. I ended up jumping in at first once it tried to re-break over. It was like 940-ish at the time, and I was kind of back testing another strategy I'm playing with over the last month or two, I've been saying. So I was really kind of using that. Order on the bid showed up. I felt good at the time, so I jumped in. I got stopped out. I pulled back. I got out at like 1930. I was in from 1942, 1943. And then I jumped back in once it pushed back up. Why did I jump back in? Well, in this case, at least, it's 9:45 in the morning, and I felt confident with at least what I was doing at the time. So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, guess what? Also shame on you. That's pretty rude of you to do. Even a third time, right? No, but just to tell you, though, I'll have equal confidence, if not more confidence, to take the same trade a second time, at least if it's within prime time hours. This is 9:45 in the morning, right? So for the loss I took, if it ends up making that next move coming up here shortly after, if I'm there to take it and my eyes are on the screen, my fingers on the trigger, why not? Simple as that. Let's see here. Just some comments coming in here. Maybe just one for the time being. Actually, got a couple private chats as well. Jim just saying profit looks much better than a loss. Take a nickel or a dime. It's still a profit. In the very general elementary context of it, for sure, right? Especially if you're a trader that does not have the confidence to pull the trigger when you should. If you don't have confidence with what you're looking at, some money's better than no money, right? So I couldn't agree more with you there, Jim. Now, I do like to bring this up, though, right? Because, of course, pretty much better than anyone or almost as good as anyone. You've been around the block with us, and you're one of our great traders, too. This is just where, though, if you are someone that's looking to make $1,000 a day or more, that's what we train you to do. We don't just, kind of do the baby steps and then that's it. But those are the first steps that you need to take. And if you're trying to jump 5 steps ahead, you're probably going to miss those steps and you're probably going to fall into the puddle of water there. You know what I mean? But otherwise, though, take it one step at a time. And eventually you're going to get to the point where you're trading X number of shares. You're going to be trying to shoot for X number of dollars a day, right? When did I get out of S? It was just pretty much shortly before it was moving up a little bit higher here. I thought it was going to make a fake move to 20 and come back. I didn't know if it was going to have enough strength to test this. I was a little pessimistic about it, and I took the loss at first. So it was within this area around 1980, 1982 did I get out before it moved up to 20, though. And from there, it came back down. So, all right. So let's go through some chats here just briefly. Just email, private chat here just briefly here from Sonia. Can you anticipate a circuit breaker halt? Oh, a couple of really good questions from Sonia just joining us here. Let me just go back to my regular screen. Go back to SABS, right? What other halts did we have here today also? We had the SABS. We had PMN. Those were 2 halts today. Okay. So can you anticipate a circuit breaker halt? You can, but you can't always predict it perfectly every time. Sometimes they'll actually push the stock back down, a few pennies, and that actually kills the halt trigger. So more often than not, there is like a way that we could tell where simply the more it pops faster, it's bound to kick in. That's kind of our kind of simpleton brain minds kind of just saying, all right, the faster it goes up here, bar after bar, it should get halted at some point. I teach this specifically in a class in phase 2. So I'm being Josh the teacher right now, but this goes for all of us here collectively. Actually coming up on Friday, how to trade halts. How about that? Doesn't get any better or more timely than that. So coming up July phase 2, lesson 3, and that'll be this Friday morning coming up on the 25th. How to trade halts. I'm going to go into the real mechanics of halts there. The quick answer is yes. You could identify if a stock's about to get halted. You have about 15 seconds to tell. And really, you could tell from time and sales, my TradeStation matrix. You could tell from Bookmap too, mind you. So I will answer that a lot more in detail, at least, Sonia, in our next class coming up Friday morning will be. But to answer our second question, though, also, what do you mean by pulled from the ask? So that really quickly is just where you have an iceberg. Let's just find one that makes sense here. We're going to focus on this one order. This doesn't really have much context to it outside just seeing it, but see where I kind of have this rectangle and put it around this one line. Don't focus on the other lines, just where my cursor is. Notice this orange line disappears, magically disappears. That means that order got pulled from the order book. So this is an order on the ask because it's higher from where the stock was trading at the time, right? All of these orange lines are ask orders. They're sellers. So when this orange line here, this one at 818, magically just disappears without the stock crashing into that price, odds are just, that order either got pulled completely or they moved that order somewhere up or down or around here on the book. Now, the good thing with Bookmap is that you could actually tell oftentimes, like, what if this order moved down to 750? You would be able to tell if the orange line not only disappears here, but appears at a lower price at the exact same moment. So you can be very graphic or pattern based on Bookmap and focus on the graphics here and look to see where these orange lines not only disappear, but also where they show back up again. All right, let's go through a couple more questions. I think 1 or 2 came in from email, then we'll wrap it up. I got to jump onto a coaching call with one of our students here, Russell. I appreciate his certainly his patience, might I say. But otherwise, though, a couple more comments at least before we finish. Jim saying, with CTU, I started a separate account with TradeStation, took a $5,000 investment and turned it into over 300,000. No bull. Listen to what they teach, Jim. That is incredible. I knew that you've done exceptionally well, and we've talked about a couple different landmark milestone points for you, but that's insane. I did not know that number at this stage. So from 5,000 to 300,000. Jim, we got to get you on our podcast, get the Cyber Trader podcast, and Fausto, talk to you and just hear more from you, and just you tell us more about your story with us. We'd love to know more about that, and collectively as a group. Let's see. Just anything else here before we finish up? I had one or two, right? One or two more. I thought Margaret. There we go. So Margaret with a quick question that came in this was from class as well. So on Friday last week, you made a passing reference to long wicks in candles. And I wonder if you could expand upon this in Traders Talk. Yeah, absolutely. So the wicks are like better to show on a 5-minute chart for day trading, let alone longer if you're looking for swing trading. So quick example, this one sticks out. Notice that, look at this first candle here. Kind of normal, nothing too crazy about it, I'd say. Decent sized body. There is a decent sized up wick here. Whatever, standard, ordinary, nothing special about it. This one is special, but it's very bullish at the time. No wicks up or down, but just giant green body all the way through. That's very bullish. So that's nice. Stock popped obviously there, and it popped more. But notice this wick. Tiny, skinny body plus long up wick. That isn't too promising for continuation. If the stock wants to continue, it can, but it needs to basically like break higher from this and flip that into a support over time or something. When you start to get tiny body plus long up wick, especially not on the little 1-minute chart, don't use 1-minute chart for the single candle patterns like that, but 5-minute, and then obviously the longer you go, certainly a 60-minute, and then really a daily chart, like something like this, clearly this opened up, it popped, and then it tanked instantly. So that's basically what these long up wicks will tell you. Margaret, I always appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much, by the way, for the latter part of your email there. I always love your comments. Thank you. Folks, we're going to wrap up at least for right now. So if you have any other questions, feel free to shoot me over a quick email, private chat as well. If you have access to the Phase 1 stock course, and if you were with us last week, you know how to private chat me at this point, don't you? You got my 3 little dots to the right of my thumbnail right there. You could click those and private chat me, just like Uday did, just like Sonia did, Lewis just before. Lewis, I'll write you back at least after we finish up, coming up here. I'll talk to you about some crypto stuff on the side. All right, but I knew I was forgetting something. No, but we're going to finish up at least for right now. If you're on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works. Let me just get my screen back up here. But right here at Cyber Trading U, lower left, just if you're new to our stream, new to our platform, social media alike, just make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button right there. Otherwise, again, coming up later this week, Wednesday, Thursday this week, we have our huge event, the Cyber Expo. Was it 9, 10, 11? I get my numbers wrong here. 11, including Fausto, of course, of the best presenters, educators, mentors, gurus in the industry. A couple new names from our last expo, as I just mentioned as well. Kathy Lean, she's awesome. We've done like numerous events with her, but she wasn't on last time. We're gonna have her join us this go around. Doug Campbell, I'd said I'm a big fan of him. Right Way Options. My guy Ryan Faluna from Benzinga, Director of Customer Success. And then of course, a few names that were on just from a couple months ago. Jay Trader, Price Headley, Silas. You get Jeff Gibby back on. Larry Gaines, I love. Wiz Buckley's the man. You got a lot of really great people out here joining us. Not only just educators and mentors, but you. I mean, the trader out there alike. So we're gonna have probably like 1,000 of us collectively throughout the 2 days together. So feel free to join us. We're gonna have great conversation. Go over a wide array of different topics: day trading, swing trading, long term, crypto. You name it, we're talking about it. Make sure to just register right down below, though, and you can even get access to the recording of this once we finish all. But otherwise, folks, hey, our next broadcast will be at 2:30 p.m. Eastern later on this afternoon, just our afternoon meeting. And for now, just going to jump onto a couple coaching calls private with students here coming up. I'll talk to everybody then. Take care.